Yay. Okay, I'm so
Well,
excited. Well, I just wanted to give a little rundown of I feel like why I want to do this with you is because you're just a boss, babe. But I just want to think it's so important for women who are struggling or at a time in their life where they're needing guidance to have somebody that they can like look up to or get advice from or just hear what anything that you have to say because you've come from such a place of being a single mom, and we both started in the industry where you can get real lost in the sauce if you don't have your head on straight,
yeah.
and coming out of that and then building your brand into something beautiful, and you're changing women's lives and you're making them feel beautiful and pretty. And I just wanted you to kind of, I wanted to hear more about it, but anything that you feel like you can help encourage women would be great.
I feel like, um, I mean, I don't even know if like me and you have ever dove into that, like on my side of like where or like how I started or why. So yeah, that's gonna be like interesting to dive in with you because we've known each other for so long. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
not, I feel like you know like some things, but not.
I know like here and there, I know that you started out. I just know, I feel like for me, because okay, so backtracking a little bit, I trained with you for lashes. I loved it. I think that you were doing amazing. But what really got me into wanting to do that was you. And like, I feel like both of us are pretty determined people. But just seeing how you created something from the very bottom, I know that what I do know is that you would go in and, I'm gonna put my thing on do not disturb. You would go into bathrooms and like leave your cards, and you
Yeah.
put in the work. And I feel like that is what is for me really inspirational, and I wanted to work with you and learn from you for those reasons. But yeah, I'm definitely wanting you to dive into all the goodness of it.
Yeah. So something that I feel like to what what I go through right now with my business is I'm at a point where I feel like when I first started in the industry and because I was successful and I knew what it took to get me to where I am now, I feel like I would kind of see that in other people, right? So I would almost like see this old version of myself in other people, and it made me want to help them so desperately.
Hmm.
Because like a lot of that was me wishing that I had that when I needed it, right?
Hmm.
But what I'm experiencing now, and it's been 3 years since I opened my salon, is yeah, you can have people that want to help you and want to guide you and mentor you and stuff, but you have to be the one ultimately that's putting in the work, right? So that's what I struggle with now is I feel like I come across people that kind of see my success and they hear my story and it motivates them and it inspires them. So they think, oh, maybe if I just work close to this person, it's going to happen to me too. Like, I'm going to become successful, but that's not how it works. Like
Hmm.
you can be given the tools to succeed, but you really have to dive deep and put in that work for yourself, or you won't get there.
Yeah.
Um, so like now I'm at a point where I don't want to say I stopped helping people because I don't. I want to help people so bad to succeed, but I kind of find the qualities that you need to. So you have to be hardworking, you have to be driven, you have to be motivated, you have to want more. You don't get that just from sitting on your couch after taking a lash class. You're like, you have to work at it. You have to promote yourself. You have to market yourself. But it's the consistency is what is missing a lot. I feel like with people is um, they try for a week or two, and then they don't
They'd
see
expect this money to come in like
right,
that.
and it doesn't. You have to consistently put yourself out there, and I feel like what helped me was I was already surrounded by a lot of women in the industry because I was bartending. I used to serve, so a lot of people when they see me, when they saw me starting my lash business and lashes were first coming out, I feel like I gained a clientele that way too. But I also took advantage of the room that I was in. I was surrounded by a lot of people, so I talked about it, and I was like, "Let me do your lashes." This was like when I was even just doing them for free. I was like,
Mm.
just let me do your eyelashes. Like, you don't have to pay me. I just want a picture. And it's awesome now because I'm at a point now where I have people that are working underneath me and our books are full, and I still accept clients because I genuinely really love doing what I do. Like, there's nothing better than making people feel better about themselves and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it takes a lot to get to that point where you're like comfortable, I guess. Because when I was bartending, it took me a while to step away from that before I felt like I was gonna confidently make a living for myself, that I could support myself and my son before I walked away from that completely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So I always tell people, I'm like, if you're in a position where you need to work another job, do it. But while you're working that other job, be marketing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be spreading the word still. You know, take advantage of being around those people, because that's what's gonna help. Like, your referrals are everything. Yeah. I mean,
Do you feel like you ever struggled with imposter syndrome, or do you feel like your students or women in this industry struggle with that?
um, don't laugh, but like, when I hear imposter syndrome, I don't feel like I understand really what that means. Can you?
I literally, as I was asking that question, I don't think that I've seen you be a person that has that.
So
Which I feel
what
like,
is that? Is that like where someone sees something and they like copy them all the way?
so imposter syndrome, I'll tell you, for me, I feel like I have suffered from that. And not until I took away that I realized I was suffering in it, instead of just realizing that it's a normal stage of progression. But imposter syndrome, to me, I feel like it feels like, even though I took the training classes, even though you literally told me I was doing so good, like one of the best, and like I did it very quickly, and people were loving the,
Good. Like, I was like, wait, what?
yeah. So even though I was doing so well and people love them, every time I would sit down, I would still feel like I'm gonna fuck this up. I have no reason or right to be here. And like, these people are giving me their money and I don't deserve it to be like, I'm an imposter lash artist. Like, I'm not a real lash artist, even though I was quite literally doing it.
Right. So
So I
maybe that
think
just meant you knew that that was not your calling. You know what I mean? You knew it didn't feel
I
right,
feel like that
or
a lot of times. I loved doing lashes. I still love it, but I think every time clients would come in, like, you know me, they would start crying, and I'm like, I can't do your lashes if you're crying. So I was like, I felt more of my calling was to help people because they always felt so comfortable with me, no matter what. Like, people would just be crying, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go into
I
therapy.
being a watch artist is very similar to being a therapist. Like, people that I don't even know will tell me their deepest, darkest secrets. But I think that that's just a quality that a lot of lash artists have, is like, we like to hear people out, right?
Yeah.
And we make people feel comfortable. That's our job, is to make people feel comfortable. So I can see why that kind of, went hand in hand with like where you're in now, like your field now and helping people and stuff. But you're really good at it. Like, the other night, I was like, Mackenzie, I need you to pull my cards now.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I'm not going to say I was half kidding, because I wasn't. I'm not half kidding. But you're my friend, so you're like, tell me my future.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It sounds ridiculous, but after our like conversation, I felt a lot better, and it was just being able to like talk to you. I think
Mhm.
that, I don't know, you just have a way of getting through to people.
Yeah, I feel like I've noticed from my interactions with people that it's just like my energy that makes people feel better or more comfortable, which is interesting now, knowing what I know about hypnotherapy. Like, it's not always where you're just like knocked out. Sometimes you just close your eyes and you lay down and you just talk. And you're already in a trance state, which means a trance state is like where you're focused internally instead of looking around and focusing and like being distracted. You're fully present with yourself and your emotions. So it makes a lot of sense why, when people are laying down, in the lash studio with you and they have their eyes closed for a long period of time, they're doing a lot of internal work because they're in a trance state already. Like they're already in a light state of hypnosis. So you could have them do
I
whatever
used
you want. Just kidding.
it sound you're literally just like have a chain dangling in front of your eyes. So I see why people think that that's what that means,
Mhm.
hypnotherapy.
Yeah, no, a light trance is just focusing really on your emotions and what's going on internally. But I mean, I do feel like the imposter syndrome part of it, you just have to get through. That's what you're talking about, the consistency. Like you just have to accept for a while that you're not going to be making a lot of money and you're going to be putting a lot of money into it and you're going to be putting a lot of time into it. And then eventually you're going to see that. But
Yeah.
I feel like,
I mean, also like fake it till you make it type thing,
Mhm.
because I feel like when I first started doing lashes, people, I didn't want to say they laughed at me, but they kind of did. You know what I mean? Like I
What
feel
do you
like
mean?
people thought maybe like it was just something that was going to be short term for me. But
Mm,
when I realized how much I enjoyed it, how much I loved it, and just being able to spend time with Maddox, um, because he was like my baby at the time, I was like, this would be really nice to just have nights with him. Really,
mhm.
like I was never with him at nighttime. I missed like a lot of Maddox's, like his first years of his life, and I mean, I don't regret it because obviously everything that I've gone through in life has got me to where I am now. But I think that when I start to remember that time, it makes me sad
Mhm.
because now that I have Maddie and I'm able to spend so much time with her, I almost feel like guilty that I didn't have that with Maddox in a way. So I'm trying to like make up for it now. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? But that's why I tell people I'm like, if you find something that makes you happy, that can make you a really good, decent income, it's worth the struggle. It's worth working your ass off for. If it's not
Yeah.
something that overnight, like, but you are very passionate about it, you have to just keep working at it until you really don't anymore, until it kind of just comes to you. Because I'm not
Mhm.
saying I don't work hard anymore, I do, but I've made a name for myself and it's not as hard anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like people come to us now. They know, they hear lashes and they're like, oh, I know Lexi. I on Instagram. I'm gonna hit up her place, and it's more easy now. But it took me a long time to get to that point.
Mhm. How long would you say for like people watching this or women that are interested in this field or just not even in this field, but I think that it's going to be consistent, not for every field, but there's a amount of time. What do you feel like? How long was it like your phases? Like from when you started to when you started fine, how long until you finally started making breaking even and then how long until you started making some money and then making a bigger amount of money?
Honestly, I would say I worked my butt off like that first year, and it was a lot of discounted lash sets, portfolio building, and after that year, like I gained a pretty consistent clientele. And you make so much money in the industry, in the bar industry, so you kind of compare it to that, right? But um, I want to say, so I started doing lashes in 2015. By 2016, uh, I had regulars, like people that saw me consistently every 2 weeks. And then by 2018, like I was like, why am I still here? Like when I was at work. And I don't know if like you knew or if I told you this is why I finally stepped away, but I got a really bad MRSA infection on my wrist. Do you remember that by
I do
chance?
remember that.
So obviously you can't be serving drinks when you have an open wound on your arm. And I was in the hospital for a good 2 weeks because the infection was in my blood and they had to run me through IV antibiotics. So uh, I remember walking into the hospital thinking I got stung by something and they're going to give me a shot and I'm going to go home. And they were like, no, sister, like you're not leaving. And I was like, wait, what? Like, they're like, no, you're lucky if you get to like keep your arm, and that was a very big eye opener for me because I was like, what would I do without my arm? I can't serve drinks. I can't do eyelashes. Like, so it's crazy, like how that kind of put me in a place where I'm like, all right, you have to slow down and take care of yourself, right? And so when I got released from the hospital, I couldn't go back to work. And they didn't want me, obviously, to go back to work until my wound was healed. And after that month passed, and at the time I was doing lashes because I didn't have MRSA anymore, but I was bandaged up. And I was making a really good living with just doing that from my apartment. And I remember texting Cello and I was like, hey, like, I really enjoy being here with Maddox and I don't think I'm coming back. But I think that I needed to go through that in order to quit because I was so afraid of just being on my lash income. You know what I mean? Because I had two incomes for so long. So when I was finally away and paying my bills on just my lash clients, I was like, it like does the extra $1,000 a week, does uh it matter when it's time spent at home with my son? Like it doesn't. So then I was gone.
Dang. Do you feel now looking back like that was the universe's way of being like,
For sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm telling you, I don't know what would have taken me to quit. I don't. Because you get brainwashed into believing that you'll never make a living outside of there. You
yeah.
get brainwashed by a lot of people that tell you, you're making doctor money. Like,
And just that, but also just how I want to stop and say, like, reflect on how people look at you crazy because, me not drinking. I've realized that it's really just people are projecting what they can't do onto you. So, like,
that,
they are looking at you crazy because they would never do that. And so
yeah,
then, but it gets in your head of like, oh, am I doing something stupid? But then it's like, no, it's just that that person can't imagine doing that for themselves. So that's why they're looking at you like you're stupid. And then also, that's something that comes with like the brainwashing of being there and like that comes with the fear. But I think that if we can like take those things, like for me, anyways, not drinking, like when people would say that, it would just make me want to do it more. Like the more
yeah.
people doubted me, I'm like, watch, watch now.
Like I said, I was like, when I started doing lashes, did like people kind of laughed at me, like made fun of me, like, am I not going to um or does she think she's just gonna do lashes now and like not bartend? And it's probably was the same for you. It probably
Mm-hmm.
was when you were like, oh, I'm not drinking, like, oh, haha, like how long is that gonna last type thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with everything, like people still to this day will be like, oh, hypnotherapy. I mean, that's not like a full-time job. Like, what else are you going to do? And I'm like, first of all, I have so many things going on in my life and I have so many interests that I don't know 100% if I want it to be full-time yet, but I'm making $150 an hour. What do you mean it's not? Like,
Right.
that's very easily a full-time job. Like, what do you mean? And I just like, it's just funny because I used to be in a place where I would hear those things and it would make me nervous. And now I just realized that everyone is just projecting all of their stuff onto other people all the time.
Yeah,
Except for the
totally.
people that are there to help you, because there's a quote that I like and it's, you'll never be criticized by someone that's doing more than you. Because
Exactly.
just by like you and me and you talking about how you want to help all these girls that you see yourself in, we would never criticize them. It's the people that are doing less that want to criticize you so that they can feel better about themselves.
100%. 100%. And it's funny because, yeah, the only people that will ever say anything negative about you is because they're most likely just jealous that you are who you are. Some people just don't have it in them to stop drinking, to find a different career path and like really chase it. They move states within like, I don't know, what was it, like a couple weeks? They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm moving to Florida. I'm like, okay. I was I when the hurricane was gonna hit, I was like, oh my God, I need to check on the map and see if that's where Mackenzie is. And then Sergio is like, what? We're just in the living room. And I was like, Mackenzie, I don't like, she's in Florida. He's like, well, why is she in Florida? I'm like, she moved. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. But
Literally, like I decided to move and then like, yeah, like a month later, I signed a lease.
yeah. And you're probably happy you did.
Yeah, I am. I think everything happens for a reason. I don't know the reason that I'm here yet, other than I just felt like it was the right move to make. And like, I don't think I always have to have all the answers. I think I'm putting myself in a hole, like I'm pigeonholing myself. If I say like, this is what I'm going to do, I'd rather just stay
Right.
open to all the possibilities. I like manifesting in a way of having goals of where I want to be and how I want to feel. And then if
Yeah.
something is aligning with how I want to feel, then I go more towards that direction.
Yeah. Totally.
What do you feel like your goals and visions are for your, well, I still want to start at, can you give us like a time frame or like an idea of where you started and then where you're at now, like as far as accomplishments, what you offer to your clients, what you provide for students and stuff?
So I literally started doing eyelashes on my living room couch. I literally had
Okay.
like just one of my table lamps like that sits on your little, end table, like horrible lighting, no stool. I think I was on my knees. And that was 2015. I want to say each year that passed, I upgraded a little bit. So I think 2016 came along and I moved from one apartment to the other. Then eventually I was able to get an apartment with an extra bedroom and it was my lash room. And then me and Sergio met and I got pregnant with Maddie, moved. Um, During COVID, we were going to move again. Oh my God, we've had 3 houses since we've been together. Like from 2019 to 2024, we've had 3 houses. So we've moved quite a bit, but
You've had lash rooms in those, right?
yeah, I had a lash room in the last apartment that I was in when I was pregnant with Maddie. I had this separate room and then moved into a house with him with another separate lash room. But then during COVID, we bought another house and I was like, I don't want to work from home anymore. At that point, I think I was going a little stir crazy being at home. So Macy, my sister, she had True Hair Loft, and that's where I'm pretty sure it's where I trained you, right? In that salon, the upstairs salon.
What year was that? You
That
20,
was 2020.
21? Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then by 2021, she moved downstairs and I took up the lease upstairs. So now I've been in that salon for 3 years. So it's crazy. It's like I kind of feel like it's a little ladder. Like I take a little step
It is.
each time. And I just
And
try to
I
remind
feel,
when I think about how like I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm so much freaking better than where I started. But I think that you have to give yourself grace. And if you try to rush to the top too fast, you're going to miss those steps that are needed to get there, you know?
yeah, 100%. I think that that's what it's all about. And that's the fun part of life. Like, yes, we're talking like business and financial and the lessons you need to learn and the steps that you need to feel super comfortable in before you take on more responsibility. But it's
Right.
also just like in life, spiritually and like emotionally and mentally, the journey is the fun part. Like if you were to just start lashes and then be like, I'm going to buy this thing, it's like, okay, then you're done. Or like, it's just, that
It's not
instant
the same,
gratification is not as fun as like building your way up and
right?
achieving a bunch of little steps. Like all of those tiny steps are going to get you to where you are. And that's the fun part of life.
Yeah. That's all you need, all of that in order to get there. And I think that that's something that some of my students, not all of them, just some that I've taught, I think that they don't understand that um, the great part comes with the struggle because you're not going to be great if you don't experience the struggle that's needed in order to get there.
Mhm.
You have to go through that because that's what's going to make you like a strong leader is going through all those steps. And honestly, if it came too easy, you probably wouldn't even love it or enjoy it,
What I'm
you know?
saying is the greater the challenge, the greater the success is. And I guess to me, everyone has a different definition, but I feel like the success is like that. Yes, like I did it.
That,
It's going to feel so good once you've gone through the mud and you've cleaned yourself off and you're like celebrating because if you just did it and had things handed to you, you're still going to be like craving some sort of success.
Right. Yeah, that's how I felt like when I just did my first trade show. Remember we were texting when I was on my way there. And like after I saw my booth, I was just like, oh my God, I can't. Just thinking about how like, again, I told you I'm going to be really emotional, but that's just like how I get when I talk about this because it's so true. Like just standing there and seeing my booth in a room of sponsors that are very known in the lash industry. I wouldn't, if I were to like had a version of myself look into that, I think that I like she wouldn't have believed, you know, like where she is now. Talking about like me when I was
And it would have
just
been
starting.
scary. It'd been like, that's too much.
Right. But just like standing there and like seeing that, and I'm still such a little person and a little company compared to all the ones that are in that room that I was in. But just being able to be there, I was like, that's that's what I needed to like know that all my hard work is paying off. You know, that was incredible, honestly. And I remember like before we started the trade show on the first day, um, they called all the sponsors into this big room to have a champagne toast to the trade show opening. And I remember like looking at Karina because like you don't have to go. Like it's kind of like, come on, we want all the sponsors to go, but you know, not all the sponsors walk into that room. And I look at Karina, my manager, and I'm like, I don't want to go. And she's like, come on, let's go. And I was like, okay, fine, because they called the owners and the managers into that conference room. So I go in and we sit up at the front. I just love sitting up at front. I don't know why. I just always have been.
You're a leader.
Yeah, I sat at the front, and the guy that put on the show, he was like, okay, so we're gonna go around and I'm gonna hand you guys the microphone and you're gonna come up here and you're gonna talk about just anything that's on like your heart and where you came from. And I looked at my manager and I was like, because I'm not a public speaker, like that's something that I'm trying to get
Up,
better at.
up until now, you weren't a public speaker.
Right. Up until now I wasn't. And so I looked at her and I was like, she goes, should we leave now? But like she like giggled. And I was just like, that there's like this other, I guess like alter ego of myself where I'm like, no, I'm big, I'm brave, like I'm gonna sit here. And he like looks at me and he hands me the microphone. I'm like, oh my God, me first? Like, and I just put on this, you know, strong, brave face, and I grabbed the microphone, like acting like I'm super confident, and I'm not. I know people like see me and they think that I am, but I am very nervous most of the time. And I
Yeah.
stood up there, and it kind of just like poured out. And after it did, and I sat down, I was like, oh my God, like 2015 Lexi would never, you know what I mean? And just like that made me feel really good about myself.
You're acknowledging your growth.
And I think that, you know, just him in general, the guy that handed me the microphone, there's people that you're going to meet in your life that are going to push you to be that way. And you come across people in your life that are going to, I don't know, challenge you, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that.
And I think it's even cooler that you did have, even though it was like kind of a joke, but you did have an opportunity to leave. And you did, that's what I'm talking about, taking that fear and noticing it and feeling it and then leaning in and
Right.
getting it out of the way, because that not only for your neuro pathways, it tells you not only that you can do it again, but it tells you that next time you can go even further. And so it's like pushing through that fear is so important. And I think that what's also great is you were nervous before, you killed it, you just let it flow out of you, and then you're proud of yourself. It's like, I think that that's just a testament to like the universe will not give you an opportunity that you're not ready for. So if it's being handed to you, if someone's handing you that microphone, it's because you're ready and you just have to lean into it.
Right. Have you heard of like the red car theory?
Like if you say you want a red car, then you're going to spot all the red cars.
Yeah, so it's like the same thing when it comes to like identifying opportunities. So like you see an opportunity, and then once you identify that as your opportunity, you start seeing the other opportunities. And I feel like a lot in my life now, that's how I try to live. Like I try to identify those types of opportunities because I know that those are the ones that are going to make me get to, you know, where I'm going. And so LashCon, that's the trade show I went to, that was one of them. And I don't know, I love that theory. I think it's so true. It's so spot on. And opportunities only do come to those who put themselves in the room, right? Like
Mhm.
you're not going to get opportunities if you're not accepting them.
Well, just point blank, like I know how the subconscious works. That's what I'm obsessed with. If you say, there's just not an opportunity, there's nothing for me there, your brain is going to find every reason to validate so that you can prove to whoever you're saying, like, oh, look, I told you it's because this person was there. You're going to find reasons. So, like, it's
Right.
all about how you speak about yourself, think about the universe. If you always think everything's going to be against you, then it is going to be against you. And feel like you've always been pretty good. I don't know, always. I don't know your personal journey, but I think that you've always been pretty ambitious and driven.
Yeah. And with manifestation, everyone's like, oh, like manifestation isn't real. Like, do I feel like you can manifest something and sit here and it will come true? No. But like once you start believing, you know, I can do that and I will do that, it does come true. When you take
Manifesting is
action,
working logically, thinking, emotionally, putting in the work until it shows up physically because of the work that you're doing.
right? I just told Maddox the other day, I said, because he always talks about how one day he's going to drive a Lambo or a Bugatti, you know, and he's 10. Obviously, he doesn't understand how the world really works yet. But I told him, I said, you know how you want those things in your life. I want you to remind yourself that in order to get those things, you have to be a leader. You have to envision what it is that you want to accomplish in life, but you also need to take the actions that are needed to get there. And he kind of looked at me like, okay, mom, I know. Like, like maybe I shouldn't be talking to a 10-year-old
He
old like
knows. He knows everything. Yo, I love that. So when do you think, so it was after 2021. So when did you, what am I trying to say? When did you start doing more than just doing people's lashes?
uh,
In
so
2021? Is that when you started like your products and then teaching and then
so teaching came with, so during COVID, I actually, my business was thriving. I had people like, I swear people would bang my door down to do their lashes. Um, which was amazing to me because it just proves that you can be going through a freaking, you know, world shutdown and people still want to feel good about themselves, right? It's very important and crucial, I feel like, to always make sure that internally you are feeling good. And a lot of that for women is their appearance. So during COVID, when my business was doing so well, I kind of had like that aha moment where I was like, wow, uh, if I'm doing this well during a pandemic, I want to share that with other people that could really benefit from it, that really want to do it too. So I decided that I wanted to start training because I already had a handful of people that had asked me. They were like, I think I want to do eyelashes, you know, like would you teach me? So I was like, well, why not? Why can't I? Like other people do it, why can't I? But one thing I struggled with always was not having consistency with lash products. I couldn't find a line that I absolutely loved. Or if I did love one product from this line, it was, you know, just one thing and then I'd get my lashes from a different place. So I was like, well, I want to teach people with a line that I can really stand behind that I know works, that works for me. So that's when I started doing testing from different factories around the world. Um, Obviously, I couldn't travel to the places for testing, but I would have them shipped, and it costs a lot of money. You know, like if I wanted to sample some lashes, I had to pay like $150, $200 just to get this lash tray shipped over. And but I put up that money because I knew that I wanted that so bad. Um, so that's when I formulated my own stuff, got my own line of products, and 2021 November was my first training. And then Arizona, they changed their laws a lot when it comes to lashes. When I trained you, you had to be an esthetician or a cosmetologist. I was like, Mackenzie, just do it at home. A lot of people do it at home. They don't have a license. Like, who cares? But it's because they're always changing that. They're like, you need a license. Then, 6 months or a year goes by. You don't need a license anymore. You need a license. No, now you don't. Well, 2024, and I think around April, they announced that now a lash license is separate. You don't need to be a cosmetologist or an esthetician anymore in the state of Arizona. I don't know how it is for other states. So that was cool. And again, I identified that opportunity, and I was like, wow, this is going to be really good, because now if I want to get my training program like accredited by the Arizona State Board, now's the time to do it. So I did that, and I think I received my certificate for my training academy a couple months after, because it took a long time. I think June, and I think I held my first group training in July. So it's still really fresh. But what's awesome is that I'm accredited by the Arizona State Board. So my training class licenses people.
Dang.
Period.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I know. I was literally, Sergio thought that someone died. He heard me upstairs. Hold on, my mom's texting me. Hold 1 second. Sergio thought someone had died because I put my application in, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting to see, like, if I was going to get accepted. And I remember opening up my computer upstairs, and they had like all these weird random links, and I clicked it, and it said training program number 00, and it gave me, numbers or whatever. And I was like, before it had said training program, it said application. So I was like, training program? Like, oh my God, this is my license. And I remember just like screaming and crying, and he was like, what's wrong? And I like ran towards him, and I was like, what does this mean? What does this mean? He was like, oh my God, you got approved. I was just like bawling. It was kind of ridiculous, but
How did it feel?
it felt, I was just like unreal in a way. Unreal, I guess. Unreal and real at the same time. But yeah, that was really cool. One of my fave moments for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, coming from being on your knees doing people's lashes on your couch to now training people as a state board certified instructor, and doing that while selling all of your own products that people can use.
Right.
That's huge.
Thank you.
What do you feel like, what would you say to past Lex?
Dude, I don't even know what I would say. I was such a freaking mess, man. Like, you could have told me anything and it would have went in this year and out the other. Like,
She had to be that way though. She had to be that way because you're in survival mode.
Yes. Anything that I could have said to my past version probably wouldn't have listened.
Just hug her.
She probably wouldn't have remembered.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what can you say that like honors that person that got you to where you are today?
What would I say to that person?
Yeah, like how can you like honor her and the work that she did to help you?
Honestly, I think I would just give her a big hug, and I would just honestly just thank her for just like not giving up. Like, no matter how heartbroken and sad and lost and afraid and freaking tired, like, I think I would be the one that'd be, thanking her. If anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She got you through it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, back then, I remember just like asking myself, like, I would literally cry myself to sleep, and I would say, why is this happening to me? And I felt so bad for my mom, my poor mom at the time, because my mom, she hurt a lot with me because I'm her daughter, right? And if I think of Maddie going through what I went through, I would be very sad too. And I, like, thank God I had my mom, because I don't know what I would have done without my mom. But I remember crying myself to sleep and just like literally like speaking out loud, like, why is this happening to me? Like, I want to know why this is happening to me. And my mom just told me, like, you're gonna be okay. Like, you're gonna get yourself through this. But I was seeking everything back then, everything. Like, I'm not a religious person. Yes, I believe in God, but I'm telling you, I did anything and everything I can to just have a little light of hope, just like the smallest little light of hope. Like, I would literally go to church, and you know, that's not really me. I'm not really a church person, but I would get that. That's when I started doing tarot readings, like being interested in that, because I was just like, I so desperately just needed to know that I was gonna be fine. So those little things, they actually did help me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I called you the other day, or I texted you the other day. I was like, Mackenzie, I need you to pull my cards over right now. Because, even if some people think that it's not real, it's real enough for some of us to like hold on to that, right? Like, you get a message and you're like, okay, that's what I need. I needed that message. I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna work towards that. So yeah.
Looking back and knowing what you know now, when you were saying that you were crying and saying like, why is this happening to me? What do you feel like your takeaway is now looking back of like why that was happening to you?
Because I needed to go through that.
Your tower moment was ripped down so that you could
Yeah,
build a new foundation.
I had to go through that, or I don't think I would be where I am today. Because that is what made me super strong, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And just like in general, like, I feel like I was very naive in a way, and I'm not anymore. It's very hard to fool me now, which I'm happy, because I feel like I'm a very giving person, and I still am. I'm still a very giving person. But now I'm careful now and selective of the people that are around me, because I do feel like you are a product of your environment. And I realize now, me now compared to me in 2018, the longer that I was away from that negative, toxic energy, the more easy it was for me to stay away from it. Actually, like, every weekend you'd be like, what should I do? It's Sunday. Should we Sunday fun day? There's always like that little part of me that was like, yeah, I still want to. I still want to. But then I noticed the longer that I was not going out, not drinking all the time, not being around toxic energy and just a negative environment, I didn't want to go back. That they say like it takes what is it? Is it 30 days for a routine, or 60 days, something like that.
You're breaking the cycle.
Yeah, once you break that cycle, like, it's so much easier after that. It's just getting to that point. And whether that's with your life, your own life choices, or with your job or the gym, I feel like it works the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You have to stand back and have enough time to like come back to yourself, come to the real world. And then when you look at it, you see it for what it is instead of what it was doing for you.
yeah, exactly. Totally.
Love that. Yay. What else was I going to ask you? Do you have anyone that you feel like you looked up to or inspired you like along this journey?
I feel like I have, honestly, if this is gonna sound like maybe cheesy, but it was definitely Maddox. Maddox is what inspired me. Um, he brought me like a different meaning of life and a different meaning of love. And after I had him, I feel like he's what I needed to inspire me. And everyone's different. So, some people have,
He was your motivation.
He was he motivated me, but he still, I feel like he still in a way inspires me, because I want to be good because of him. And Maddie too. That's why I named Mad Lashes, Mad Lashes, because Maddox and Maddie, like, it's for them.
I love that.
I can't
What
believe
else?
I cried so much.
What?
Such a crybaby.
No, it's good. You're letting your emotions out. You're having big feelings because it's been big success and it's been big heartbreak and big triumphs along the way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel? What do you feel like you ever had?
I don't have it. There's like, it's not leaking at all.
Um, do you ever feel, or can you think about a time, what was your like most challenging time on this journey where was there ever a time where you were like doubting yourself or if you were going to keep going on or like anything like that?
I,
Anything that challenged you like that?
I still have them. I go through waves. I feel like motivation comes in waves, right? So there are still times, even though I'm doing fine, I'm doing well. I feel like the entrepreneur side of people is they're always going to want more, right? So if you have that in you, which I know that that's what I have, is you're going to go through moments where you feel weak and you feel like you want to give up. And um, in those moments, what I've learned to do is separate myself from the negativity, whether it's my phone, like whether it's my problems on my phone or um, outside of work. I try to just kind of take a breather because no, I'm not saying I wake up every day and I'm like, feel like I'm at the top, because I definitely still have those days. And I feel like it's important for people to know too that you are still going to have that. No matter
Mhm.
how well you're doing in life, you're still going to have those moments of weakness for sure. And at that time, just like listen to yourself, what your body needs.
I think
Sometimes,
that's really important too.
honestly, just like a freaking nap sometimes will motivate me after. So,
I think that that's important too, because even like with this healing stuff that I do, I think that with any journey that anybody's on, when you're feeling like those moments of doubt or overwhelm or just any of that negativity, it's really about removing things from your life rather than adding and going and doing. It's about removing yourself and coming back to yourself. And whether it's getting off of your phone, removing yourself from like your environment, but just coming back to yourself and like restarting from like
mm,
who you are. Cause it's like we start adding in things and adding in things and adding in things that are just really distractions or
right.
get us away from our like line of focus. And so that's really
I
important.
I tell the girls at work, like there's times where I literally like for some reason my brain likes to go wild at nighttime. I think I have some sort of like screaming head syndrome at night. I don't know, but I feel like at nighttime I that's when my doubts kick in, and I'm like, and I'm maybe it's just because I'm tired. I don't know, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Ugh. I don't want to go to work tomorrow. And then literally I wake up and I'm like, that was funny, like silly me. Like
Who is she?
horrible. That really means like I want to say 5 out of 7 days of the week. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm just good at I don't know not showing it, but it's
I
normal.
I think it's 100. That's what I was just gonna say. I think it's so beautiful that you're saying that. I think it's amazing because it's so fucking normal. And I think that it's so important for people who are wanting more in their life to understand that like that more is not going to change who you are. You're going to be the same person, but your responsibilities will get increased, but it will get easier and you'll feel more success. And like I feel like the point of life is not to just be happy. Because I could be happy. I was real fucking happy in Old Town. Only no. When I got home, not happy. I was
Right.
depressed and I had anxiety, but like it's not
Yeah,
about being happy. It's about achieving something. It's about putting your mind to work. It's about putting your energy and your focus to something that you believe in and that you care about. So that those like wins, they feel really good. And I feel like that's achieving is more substantial, I feel like, than just being happy.
and I feel like it's really good for people to hear that in general, because with social media, people only want to show you their accomplishments. They don't want to
Mm.
show their weak moments and their moments of doubt, or so I think it is very important for people to know that too. And that's why I try to be raw with everyone. That's why I try to be silly and express myself, because I think that that plays a part in people being like, oh, I relate to this person.
Mhm.
People
You can be like that person. Like people can watch you and say, I could do this if she's doing this because she's just a normal ass person that spills her coffee all over or is just dancing in the car instead of people that are like always up on stage and always like at the gym and always just doing the
Mhm.
things that are so incredible because they want people to think that they're this person. It's like they go home and have the same struggles. They just don't really put it on Instagram.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're just a real ass bitch.
You are too,
Facts.
actually. I was thinking last night when I was going to bed, every time I talk to you, I feel so happy. And I don't, I'm not just saying that because we're on the phone right now, But this funny scene from Step Brothers came into my head, like when I was thinking, like, oh my god, I get to talk to Mackenzie tomorrow. Do you know the scene on Step Brothers where they're like sitting at the dining room table and the what's his name? The singer guy. Dale's name.
Dale?
Derek. No, Derek. So Derek's like talking to the dad and the dad's like giggling and like looking at him and the mom's like, I've never heard you laugh like that. Like
yeah. Yes.
That's how I feel. Like I feel like I'm the dad and like I just and he's like, I love talking to you. And I was just sitting there like kind of like laughing, like, oh my god. I wish what I was thinking about right now. So I had to tell you.
Oh, I love that so much because I just do feel like you and I both can just be so fucking weird together. And it's like, it's not, you can't do that with everybody. We can, but like people aren't going to pick up on it. Or like people can only meet you at a level where they've met themselves. So if
Right.
people don't feel like it's okay to be weird, then when you're weird in front of them, they feel uncomfortable because they think it's weird still.
But you know also why I love our friendship so much is because you and I feel like we both can agree we met each other when we were at very low points, right? So it's really cool that like we are still really good friends and we both know and have seen each other at their lowest and now we can kind of, you know, congratulate each other and share this now because we are much better versions of ourselves. I don't want to say we're the best versions because I feel like there's always room for us to get better, but it's crazy like to see us both, you know, and remember our days together. Our days.
No, I don't. Do you? They were crazy. My Snapchat remembers.
Yeah, your Snapchat does remember. I didn't have Snapchat, thank God. So
I'd be like in the club with my iPad, like at the DJ booth. Yeah, I feel like we've come a long way and it's taken a lot, but I think that also, yeah, we've just been celebrating each other's like little wins along the way. And we've always, it's nice to have a friend that you can go to and like celebrate your little wins with or
yeah,
fall when you aren't winning too.
yeah.
Like that's important.
We don't have to talk every day, but like we know like when we do talk, it's gonna be the same, like nothing, like we didn't skip a beat.
I feel like that's when you know that you have like a real like friendship and connection with somebody.
Yeah, we're so connected.
So connected. Are the kids doing this these days?
Would you be able to screenshot this? That's
We'll put
so
it as
cute.
the cover. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. I just was, this is a perfect example of like just a step. Like I've been talking about doing it. I obviously know nobody here. I think I was really close to starting the podcast in Arizona. Well, I did. I got all the equipment. I got everything. I set my room up. I set my house up and then I was like, I'm going to move. So it has to be for a reason, but I think that this is still just,
I'm glad that you reached out to me because you know, like I'm not gonna judge you. So like
yeah.
I feel good for both of us.
And I think that, I mean, it is still just a reminder, like our conversation and you just reminding me and this conversation reminding me of like, yeah, my setup right now is like this computer's on a box and I have like two weird lights on top of my water bottle holding it together, but like it doesn't really matter because like my point is that I want to talk about things that inspire me. I want to talk to people inspire me and I want to inspire people who are looking for that inspiration. So it doesn't really matter about all this stuff. It will come together along the way, just like we're talking about. So,
Right. I love that. I'm
yay.
excited. I'm excited to see where you are like 5 years from now.
Me too. I hope I have babies.
Hopefully back in Arizona. I'm not trying to be biased, but I miss you.
I know. I miss Arizona, but I just wish Arizona had the ocean. Like
I know.
that's it. Um, but we'll see. I don't know where life is going to take me, honestly. I'm just open to all the possibilities, but thanks for talking to me. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to say?
Not right now.
Okay.
Maybe in the future. I'll let you know.
Maybe when I have a podcast room and you can come sit down and talk.
I would. If you like, if you actually like set it up and you're like, Lexi, I want you to come, I would.
Oh, fuck yeah. Okay.
I have to bring the kids, but
We can go to the beach.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I love you. I'll let you get back to your party, but thanks for joining me.
Mwah.
Bye.